Hello my dear students, I am Vandana Gaur, working in the capacity of Assistant Professor at GL Bajaj Institute of Management and Research, Greater Noida. Today I will be taking up a very interesting topic, that is attitude formation and attitude change. In the previous lecture I have discussed that what actually attitude is and what are the components of attitude. Now today why I say this thing that this is a very interesting topic, because attitude is something which every person holds in different capacities. Then have you ever thought that how this attitude is formed? What are the factors basically which are responsible for the formation of this attitude? You too have an attitude. It can be in a positive way and it can be in a negative way for different factors, for different situations. So, every person holds a different attitude. Now, as in the previous session, we had a very clear understanding of what attitude is. Attitude is a predisposition. It is a predisposition towards different situations, toward different things. How an individual reacts to different, it can be an object, it can be a place, it can be a commodity, it can be anything. How you react, how I react towards that particular situation, towards that particular place, commodity or objective, that reflects our attitude. But again I will come to that question, that how this attitude is formed. What are the factors basically which are responsible for the formation of this attitude? So, here I would like to stress on one very important thing, that attitude is not inherited. It is not something which you or I is getting out of inheritance. So, one thing is very clear here, that attitudes are learned, they are not inherited. Now, if they are learned, then how they are learned? How attitude is learned? Do you learn something, that how to react to this particular situation? Is somebody teaching you that you have to react towards this situation in this particular manner? No, we actually learn through different sources. What are these sources? So, these sources can be stated in number 1, direct experience, number 2, association, and number 3, social learning. So, we will take up all these 3 points one by one, that how these 3 sources they are actually making us learn, or how these 3 sources are framing our attitude, or we can say forming our attitude. So, the first one is the direct experience. Now, what is direct experience? Direct experience is something which you, I or any other person learns when he or she comes in the direct contact of something. Direct is when there is a face to face contact, when we actually witness that particular situation, and after witnessing that situation we actually learn something which actually makes or frames our attitude towards that situation. So, direct experience has a very strong influence, has a very powerful influence on the attitude of an individual. The attitude which are derived out of the direct experience, they are very much stronger, they are held more confidently. and it is very difficult to change those attitudes which are actually formed out of the direct experience as compared to indirect experience. The attitude which are formed through the direct experience, these are easily accessible. Accessible means you can easily recall them, because whenever anything is learned out of the direct experience, then it remains in our subconscious mind, it remains in our mind, and as and when that kind of situation again appears, then that individual recalls that particular situation, and hence it is easily recalled, it is easily accessible. And that is why we are saying, that the attitude which is formed out of the direct experience is quite difficult to change, because it remains in the mind of the individual. For example, if like we take some example, then if an employee, he thinks that his work is not according to his interest, if his work is quite repetitive in nature, monotonous, he is not getting enough salary according to the work he is doing in the organization, then all these factors will develop a negative attitude towards his job, because the quality of his direct experience with his job is negative. So, this is what actually direct experience is. So, that is the one, or that is the first source through which attitude is learnt. Coming to the second one, association. Now, association is a very important source. What is actually association? Association is something when you, I as an individual, we feel associated towards something, we feel connected with something. So, we create an association. Now, how this particular association, it helps in framing the attitude. So, association is something, or it develops when there is an association between an old and a new object. Then the attitude towards the latter may be transferred towards the former. For example, if a new worker, he remains in the company of old workers, like the workers, the employees who are already working in the organization, and he enters into the organization and he comes into the company of those workers who are quite favorable by his boss, then slowly and gradually the attitude of the boss towards that new employee will also be favorable. Why it will be favorable? Because of the association, because that new worker is associated with the old workers which have a good bonding with the boss. So, that is what actually association is. Now, this association can also be defined, or it can be created on the basis of three categories. Now, what are these categories? The first one is the classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is a type of learning that we have must have seen in the learning theories. So, classical condition is when people develop association between various objects and the emotional reactions that accompany them. This classical conditioning type of association can be very well understood with the classical conditioning theory of learning, which has been given by Ivan Pavlov, where he presented a dog with a meat and a bell. And earlier, when he used to bring the meat in front of the dog, then there was no response. Then he started bringing that meat along with the sound of a bell. Then there was a response that the dog started salivating. And in the third stage, there was no meat, but there was only the bell. There was only the sound of the bell, and by only listening to the sound of the bell, that dog started salivating. That means that dog, he associated that sound of the bell with the meat, that as soon as the bell will ring, the meat will come. This is the association which that dog created between these two particular things. So, that is what actually classical conditioning theory is, that people, they develop association between different objects with the emotional reactions that accompany them. So, that is one. Second, operant conditioning. Operant conditioning is attitudes that are reinforced either verbally or non-verbally. So, operant conditioning theory is also a learning theory where it is said that if there are positive environment, if there is positive things, then the behavior which will come, the attitude which will be framed, it will also be into a positive sense, and vice versa. So, there is an association between the kind of situations which are being created or which exist. So, operant conditioning is the attitude that are reinforced, that are repeated, that are reinforced on the individuals, and it can be verbal or it can be non-verbal. And the third type of association is the vicarious learning. What is vicarious learning? Vicarious learning is the people, they learn something through the observance of others, by observing other people. They observe the behavior of other people's, they observe the attitude of other people, and then that observance has an influence on them. On the basis of that, their attitude is being framed. So, they associate themselves with other people, and when they feel associated with the other people, then they start observing those people, and that observance, it leads to their attitude development. So, this is the second type of source which basically tells that how attitudes are learned. Coming to the third type, that is social learning. Now, social learning is what? Learning from the society. When we say social, then we say man is a social animal. Why man is a social animal? Because man is living in the society. So, this is the society, it plays a very important role in framing the attitude of an individual, because from this particular society only the individual, the person, they get a lot of learning. In social learning, there are like many people who are who are the stakeholders of the social learning: family, the peer groups, culture. They shape an individual's attitude in an indirect manner. It takes place through three ways. Now, basically, like before coming to the what are the ways through which like this social learning it frames the attitude of a particular of an individual, like when like the people, they start observing the people who are a part of this society, that is the family, the peer group, or even if they think some people as their models, as their role models, if they start taking them, then how actually they learn those attitude. They consider one particular person as modeling, there is a role model. They start focusing on the behavior on those particular models, behavior of those models. After focusing their attention on the behavior of these models, they retain. The second step, that how this attitude is learned out of this family, peer group and modeling, that after focusing, they retain a part of their behavior. After retaining, its reproduction, that is they start imitating that particular behavior in their attitude, and then they start learning. So, this is how attitude is learned out of these these three ways, that is the family, the peer group and the modeling. Now, the family, a person may learn attitude through the imitation of parents. In a family, like the parents are the people who basically who come first in contact of a child who is in the process of framing or in the formation of his or her attitude. So, what does parents do? That has a direct effect on the framing the attitude of a child, of an individual. Suppose if you as a child has observed right from the very beginning that if my parents say ki, okay, this thing will be done, then it will be done. Then the attitude is that if it is said that it is done, then it will be done. Then the attitude is if somebody is saying yes, then it should be done. So, this is something which has you received from your parents. Second is the peer group. Peer group are the people who basically with whom as an individual you work. So, these peer group, they also mold the attitude, because then an individual, it becomes a part of a group, and to be accepted in that group there are certain behaviors, there are certain attitude which are being developed or which are being adopted by an individual. And the third one is the modeling. Modeling is the substantial social learning occurs through modeling. Modeling is like considering somebody as a role model, and that individual acquires the attitude by observing them, by retaining them and by imitating their behavior in his own attitude. Okay? So, that is the third source of attitude, that how attitudes can be learnt. Now, coming to the another fact, that now we have seen that how attitudes are learnt. The second fact is that what are the factors which help or which contribute towards the attitude formation. So, in all we have total 6 factors which basically contribute towards the attitude formation: psychological factors, family factors, social factors, organizational factors, economic and political factors. What are psychological factors? Psychological factors are those factors like the people, every individual has their own perception, ideas, beliefs, values, knowledge. All these factors, they form a part of the psychology of a particular individual. What is my psychology? What is my perception? What is my belief? What is my idea? All these are psychological factors. So, suppose if an individual has a perception that every boss is strict in nature, he is not good, the boss, they doesn't treat their employees in a very well manner, then in any organization, whatever organization he or she joins, they will always have that attitude that bosses are never good, and they will always have a ill feeling towards their bosses. That is an attitude which is being developed out of those ideas, out of the value, out of those beliefs. Second is the family factors. Now, this we have discussed just in the previous slide, that family plays a very important role in forming the attitude of an individual, because that is the first place where an individual comes in contact with different peoples. So, say for example, if an individual, he or she belongs to a middle class family, and there is an individual who belongs to a very affluent family, a rich family, then the attitude towards the spending will be different of both of the individuals, because being in a middle class family, that particular person will have an attitude, that will have a conservative attitude towards spending, and a person who belongs to a rich and affluent family, he or she will have a lavish spending attitude. So, family plays a very important role. Then we have social factors, that is the society, in which society you are living, the culture of that society. Okay, because like in the society, it is a culture are there, religion is there, caste is there, and there are many more things who are a part of a society. So, being in a society, the attitudes differ. Being living in India, the attitude of an Indian will be different towards the attire as compared to the people who are living in a different country. That is what actually society is. Organizational factors. Organization is a place where an individual spends most of his time. Suppose there is a 9 to 5 job where an individual is spending 8 hours of a day in that particular place. So, definitely that particular place will have an important role to play in framing his or her attitude. In an organization, peers are there, organizational policies are there, monetary rewards are there, and there are many more things which an individual comes through while working in an organization. So, again these organizational factors, they play a very important role in framing the attitude of an individual. Say for example, if a very creative person, he has been given a very monotonous task in his organization, then he will develop a very negative attitude towards his job. So, that is how organizational factors also help or contribute towards developing an individual's attitude. Next is the economic factors. Now, economic factors are the factors which are related to the economy. And when we talk about the economy, then there are various factors in an economy, like economic policies are there, economic conditions are there, what is the rate of inflation, all these are the economic factors. These economic factors too contribute towards framing the attitude of the individual. Say for example, when there was a global economic crisis in America in 2008, here the people who are living in India, even they have developed the attitude that our economy is also into a big trouble, a big crisis. That was the attitude of the people because they did not have sufficient information about that. And there were so many disclosures from Reserve Bank of India like, okay, this is not the situation. So, economic factors too play a very important role in framing the attitude. And the last one are the political factors. They are political parties, political ideologies. So, like they also somewhere responsible from framing the attitude of an individual, because every individual has their own perception and they follow some of the political ideologies, and according to that only they frame their attitude. So, these are the factors basically which are responsible for the attitude formation. Next is attitude change. Now, we have seen how attitudes are learned, how attitudes are formed. Now, can attitude be changed? Is it possible to change somebody's attitude? Yes, it is, we can say possible in, we can say that it is possible, but once an attitude is formed, it is difficult to change. The main issue in changing that attitude is resistance towards that change, because people do not accept. If I say ki you are thinking in a wrong way, you will never accept it, because that is your attitude. You will never accept that what I am thinking, how I am behaving, that is somewhere in a wrong way. So, attitude are acquired through the process of learning. So, they can changed through the process of education only. And this can be done through a good leader. A good leader is a person who can change the attitude of an individual. Now, how attitude can be changed? It can be changed by bringing change in the ideas and the beliefs of an individual. When the reason for the undesirable attitude is insufficient or misleading information is there, then attitude can be changed by providing the sufficient information. For example, suppose if you go to go to book your ticket at a ticket booking platform, and then you see that a long queue is there, and the people who are basically sitting, who are booking the tickets, they are doing their work in their own lethargic way. So, the attitude is ki the people who are sitting on the counter, they do not at all want to work, they are working very slowly. But the information is provided that what are their working conditions are, how they have to deal with the people who are completely illiterate, they have to explain everything to them. If this information is provided to you, then somewhere the attitude towards those officials will change. So, the first one is bringing a change in the ideas and the beliefs by providing the sufficient information. Second is feeling or emotions. When there is a strong impact of emotions on attitude, then attitudes can be changed through listening. Now, at some places it is quite difficult to change the attitude by bringing a change in the ideas and the beliefs. It does not work by providing that we have provide whole of the information and then we can change the attitude. There this second thing works, that is by listening to the problems. That is why in an organization there are complaint boxes in which the people they put their complaints, because of which their attitude is framed, and then by working on those particular issues, because of which the people they are attached emotionally with those particular issues, a change can be in the attitude can be brought. Third is the change in situation. Now, there are certain situational variables also which have a contribution towards the attitude formation, because of which there are certain undesirable attitude which is being formed, which require that attitude should be modified. These situational variables can be anything, that is like suppose in an organization if an individual is not getting sufficient pay. So, this is a negative thing, because of which the individual will develop a negative attitude towards his or her job. So, there will be an undesirable attitude. So, by bringing a change in this particular situation, that is by raising the pay of that individual, by bringing the change in this particular situation, the attitude can be changed. Like suppose if the pay will be raised of that individual, then it may happen that that employee will feel a little motivated and he will start working in a much more efficient manner. And the fourth one is the change in behavior. Now, this change in behavior is something which it is focusing on bringing a change in the behavior, in the undesirable behavior of an individual. Now, bringing a change in the undesirable behavior of an individual, it is a little complex task, because sometimes it happens that in an attempt to bring a change in that undesirable behavior, there is no change, and that undesirable behavior, it results in another undesirable behavior. How? Say for example, if an employee, if he does not like his job, he has a negative attitude towards his or her job, and then because of this particular negative attitude, he stops coming to his organization. The rate of absenteeism, it increases. So, what will happen? The organization will issue a memo to him कि if you do not turn up, if you do not come to the organization, then a strong action will be taken against you. Then what that individual will do? He will start coming to the organization because of that action. But then he will show his negative attitude in some other way. So, here what happened? That undesirable behavior, it resulted in another undesirable behavior. So, that is why bringing a change in the behavior, it is a little complex task, and it requires a close watch on the behavior, because the desirable attitude may not have changed at all, and the undesirable behavior accompanying such an attitude may have gone underground. That means, it is somewhere in the mind of the individual and it has resulted into another undesirable behavior. So, these are the factors through which the attitude can be changed. So, like we have gone through that how attitudes are formed and how attitudes can be changed. So, that is all in this particular lecture. Thank you all of the students for listening.